comes in that bracket of players who possesses very good break. As you see the one disappear, but again, we're seeing it on table 1, aren't we, Michael? There's no shot. He's going to be playing a push. Of course, there's no shot clock in operation just yet. That will come in at the final 16 stage, and I think it's a fair point to say, Michael, we're seeing players wasting a little bit too much time in situations like this.
Well, the other Spanish player that we saw on the main table yesterday, David Alcaide, I mean, it wasn't doing him any good at all because he was spending much too long thinking about his shots, completely thrown out of his natural style and rhythm. And after a good start, his performance basically disintegrated. Now, he got over the line in the end, but if he's to have any chance of going a long way in this event, he'll have to play a good deal better. So yeah, couldn't agree more. I think some players, Alcaide chief among them perhaps, of certainly the ones I've seen, got to get into a mindset of almost fooling themselves into thinking there is a shot clock, because they'll play better that way.
Tidy safety shot there from Michael Schneider to open up his account in this matchup. Race to 9 because it's the winner's side. If you're wondering why we've just played a race to 8, that's because that's the left side of the draw, the losers section. 256 players started, and we're playing down to 64, which will then be single elimination. That's what all these players are vying for. That is their goal at the start of this week, just to get your name in the hat for the final 64.
Sanchez Ruiz has had 2 fairly comfortable wins so far. 9-4 against Jon Ladany, one of the growing Romanian contingent on the scene. And then he beat Christian Prager of Germany, 9-2. And as for Schneider, 9-1 against Jalo Kotonurmi of Finland. Much closer, though, against Jim Telfer, the British player, 9-6. What can you tell us about this man from Switzerland, Carl?
Not a great deal, Michael. Must be honest, not seen much of Michael play. I've seen the name about, but there's just so many players, and I think the fact that really this season there's a lot more tournaments on the Matchroom Pool calendar, well, we're still learning ourselves.
The Euro Tour is his domain, really, and he's been doing all right on that over the last couple of years. Been fairly regular participant round about the last 32 stage. Went out in losers qualification round last week in Bulgaria to Ivan Nunes. And he's one of these players who's basically travelling the world in various disciplines of pool, trying to make a name for himself. Got to the quarterfinals of a big tournament in Arizona back in January.
It seems you can tell us a lot more, Michael.
Well, you know, I had to do something while you were off schmoozing with FSR.
I think usually the opening rack, even if you've never seen a player, usually tells a bit of a tale. And I think he's gone about his business well here, played a good safety. Sanchez was a tiny bit unlucky on the kick shot to leave that window, but since then Schneider's took these balls well.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? If you're playing regularly on the Euro Tour, most of these top European players play in most of those events. So when you come out and play them on the big stage like this in a major tournament of this nature, nothing new about it. You're used to playing players of that caliber, so you don't really fear it in that sense.
And he doesn't hang about, he likes to get on with the game, so this is going to be a fast match.
If you're coming in as the underdog against a formed player, one of the best in the world this year, you can't let him get away from you. Got to make a good start yourself. And Michael Schneider looked very composed in taking that opening rack. Just to let you know, over on table 2, Torsten Homan in his hometown. He was beaten, of course, in the very first match on table 1 at the start of the week, but he's still going on the loser's side, and he's just underway against Ratapol Sasman of Thailand, who's at the table at the moment. Homan is still a very capable player, Carl. Of course, he beat Francisco Sanchez Ruiz in the World Championship this year.
Yeah, as Ratapol misses the 1-9 combo there, trying to get a quick rack on the board. Even when Thorsten lost his opening match, we kind of felt he would still play some kind of form in this event, which he has. He's still there, still battling it out.
First look at the break of Michael Schneider. And it's come up dry.
Just trying to think who has broke the best on this table. I think when Joshua Filler played, he was breaking very good. He was making the one ball very consistent. I think everybody else, it's been a bit hit and miss.
David O'Cady was breaking pretty well early on in his match. Then, as I say, all departments of his game sort of fell away.
There's a little bit of the one ball sticking out here for Schneider, and he's just come round to see if it sneaks past this pink ball, and I think it does. Cue ball's going to naturally go back up towards the blue 2. And he probably thinks even if I miss this, I've got a good chance of getting saved, so the odds are stacked in his favour. Well, look at this for a shot. He's gone for the bank. What a shot.
And on the 2 as well. So very swiftly. Chance of a 2-0 lead. Oh, you can't afford to do things like that. Coming in as such an underdog in the match, when you get your opportunities early on, you've got to take them. Show FSR what you're all about and that you're here to give him a match. And in the end, he was a long way out with that attempt at the 2. And that's always the test, isn't it, Carl? Because you talked about how you can often see with players in this situation quite early on in a match what they're bringing with them. Now, he looked very composed in that opening rack. But this is always the big thing. When things go wrong, you start to miss a couple of balls. How do you respond to that? And that's where you really find out what someone is made of.
Yeah, that was a good chance for Michael. Just to stamp a little bit more authority on this game. It's a tough shot for Sanchez, though. It's long, it's thin. And he's missed it. What's he left? He's going to leave another pot. So second chance for Schneider coming up. Cue ball will crash into the purple 5. He can't help that. So he's got to try and vision playing off the edge of that purple 5. Can he get back down for the red 3? Yeah, he can. Oh, is the 5 ball going to come and stop the pocket? It is. He's had a nightmare there. Played that shot with high right and spin to send the cue ball off 2 rails. He did a nice job, but he could never envision the 5 going there. That was so unlucky. And that's a very fine shot indeed. Thorsten Homan, he's breaking over on the other table. You can watch that on the YouTube page, Matchroom Pool. Like and subscribe.
Holman 1-0 up on Ratapol Sassman. Yeah, Table 1 available on the Matchroom Facebook page. 2, as you say, on the Matchroom Pool YouTube channel. And it's all on Matchroom.Live.
Yeah, and I've actually done a break in video, so I know if you've been tuning in and you have actually heard us harp on about this break rule. If you head over to my YouTube channel, just type Carl Boys in, you'll see a little video I've done on the break, and that will give you just a quick indication of what is going on and what we're talking about.
What Riku Rompainen is talking about right now is a hill finish against Rainer Lahr. Rompainen, the young player from Finland who came to our attention in such a big way at the UK Open in May. That's on the loser side. Tolian Han, part of that Singapore team which made such an impact on the World Cup of Pool, has beaten home player Holger Gries 8-5 within the last few minutes. We talk a lot at the moment about the great year FSR is having in 2022, but it hasn't come out of nowhere. He's been around some time, and there were really good signs in 2021 that he was making big strides. Quarter-finals of the World Championship, narrowly beaten there by Oliver Szolnocki. Last 16 then of the US Open, went pretty close against Naoyuki Oi. So he's been building very steadily for about 12 to 15 months now. And one place on the European Mosconi Cup team will be confirmed at the end of this tournament. It's basically between Sanchez Ruiz and Joshua Filler. Filler is the lead at the moment. But it is in Sanchez Ruiz's own hands, because if he wins the tournament, he'll definitely overtake Filler. We'll have that Mosconi Cup breakthrough, guaranteed. Shane Van Boning came into the week already mathematically certain to claim the first spot on the American team.
That was a nice shot. Just to sneak it past that brown 7 in the side, and now he's in a good position now to take this second rack. Landed a little bit straight there. Wanted more angle than that, so I think he's going to have to draw the cue ball back up table with a bit of spin and play the 7 down this long rail. Like so.
So Schneider did have something of a chance to lead 2-0. He's passed it up, and Sanchez Ruiz has closed this out very effectively. So they're level in the very early stages of this winner's qualification round match at 1 each. Aloysius Yap on the hill now, on the loser's side, leading 7-4 against Jon Laragni. As we see some of the scores go through, and Riku Rompainen has won that hill finish against Rainer Lahr, so he's still going, an 8-7 winner. What did you do in your school summer holidays? I just went to the European Open, won some matches there. Skylar Woodward coming through comfortably there earlier on against Harold Stolka. Woodward, another player who obviously accomplished quite a lot in the game, particularly in the Mosconi Cup, but still looking for that big breakthrough in one of these real standout events, just like this man, who's levelled at 1-all.
It's a dry break. Schneider's at the table. This time he's got an open shot at the lowest ball on the table. That's the 1 ball. And the balls are not too bad. Purple 5 ball looks like the only ball what is kind of tied up, but it goes in a few pockets. Definitely top left, top right. Bottom left, should I say. Doesn't go in the top left, does it? But whenever the ball is kind of jammed in the pocket, it can always be a little bit awkward to get on your next ball, but where the blue 2 is sat, he should be okay.
So many matches and significant stories going on around the place, and one of those is Tony Drago. His re-emergence onto the international scene has been one of the big stories here this week. We saw him on the main table yesterday. He then was sent over to the losers side, where he's currently level at 3-all with Borna Anar. Drago, of course, from a really small country, Malta. And I know when he was one of the best snooker players in the world around about 20, 25 years ago, the level of interest in his matches there was absolutely enormous. He subsequently went on to establish himself as one of the best pool players around, really. And I would imagine the level of interest in what he still does anytime he picks up a cue of any description remains enormous in Malta. And they would love to be able to follow him through a few more rounds here. Now, as I say that, he's just gone 4-3 down. Ralph Suke, who we saw last night, coming through a real slog against Ivanovskaya. Well, he's 1-0 down against Jonas Suto Camino.
Now, what angle does he have on this purple 5? Can he run through? He needs to land below the 9. He's come round to have a look, so he should be okay. Yeah, nicely done. Important 4 balls coming up for Schneider. He had a chance in the second rack, showed a little bit of weakness. This will just steady the ship. But he looks a decent player to me, Michael. I think Sanchez has got a game on his hands here.
Yeah, well, this is impressive, the way he's taking this chance. Half the battle in a situation like this is putting it out of your head when you make little lapses, as he did in the previous rack. Have a nice fluent rhythm about him as well. Getting on with this pretty swiftly. And he leads for the second time against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz at 2-1. This is the first match in the winners' qualification round. And that will be the main focus later on today. At the moment, most of the matches going on are on the loser's side, and that includes this one over on table 2, Torsten Homan against Ratapol Sassman. So that's 1-all at the moment. Sassman is from Thailand. And I'm actually really surprised, Carl, that they haven't made more impact in the world of pool, because there's a huge Q Sports tradition in Thailand, primarily in snooker, but pool, I think, is played to quite an extent over there. They did reach the final of the World Cup of Pool over a decade ago now. You ever played there?
No, I haven't. It's one place I've never been. I've been to the Philippines, and obviously we know how good they are at pool, but yeah, it's a fair point, Michael. I'm surprised we've not had a top player from over that way. Obviously snooker, they're not doing too bad, are they?
No, they're doing very well, and they've always produced promising players, one of whom was Kobkit Palajan, who got to the final of the World Under-21 Snooker Championship back in 2004. Never made it in snooker, but he was part of that Thailand team in the World Cup of Pool. Again, never really went on and built on it on the global stage. Anyway, Sassman flying the flag over on the other table, although Homan looks as though he's about to lead 2-1 there. Schneider already leading 2-1 over here.
Just looking to see if he can get through that little gap. If he can't, yeah, he's going to come off this left side rail. Going to try and hit on the bottom side of the one ball off one rail. That would hopefully then separate the balls. The one would go up towards the top, cue ball towards the bottom, just like this. Everything else is out of your hands, just like so. And it's been a little bit unfortunate, hasn't it, to leave the one over the pocket, but this is what can happen. I think if Sanchez can get the cue ball on tight on that left rail, this is after potting the red 3 ball, I'm just thinking ahead, I think the pink 4 will pot. Spinning the cue ball around behind the 7. This needs to bounce. And that's okay, he's found that gap. Well, obviously he didn't fancy playing onto that left rail, so I don't blame him. Now he's got to just cue a good long 3 in. Now clearly the 4 will pot. Focus on the pot here, natural position is there.
Sanchez Ruiz must be one of the most confident men in the world of pool at the moment with the results he's had over the last 6 months or so. And he's come here directly off the back of winning a Euro Tour event, the 3rd one that he's won in the space of about a year, just a few days ago in Bulgaria. He was actually beaten at this stage, winner's qualification, in that tournament by Ramazan Akdag of Turkey, who we saw getting beaten by Pia Filler here yesterday. So he took a brief detour to the one-loss side, got through it, and the list of opponents he beat towards the end of that tournament was so impressive. Joshua Filler, Abdullah Al-Yusuf, world semi-finalist, then Alex Kazakis, and Eklund Kachi in the final from 5-4 down, and there had never been more than one rack in it up until then. FSR won 5 of the next 6 racks to close out a 9-6 win, so a really impressive list of opponents he's beaten there to win that title.
That was a nice shot after he run out of position. He's turning into a good bank pool player, is Sanchez. He makes a lot of banks. I noticed that at the World Cup of Pool. Pulled out a couple of big bank shots in that event.
At the end of the week, taking quite a lot of money to the bank. And after Spain's breakthrough victory, they had been semi-finalists before. Winners this time, and he's the winner of that rack. So level once again. And it's also 2-all over on table 2, Torsten Homan against Ratapol Sassman. Homan, of course, from the town of Fulda, and that's perhaps the biggest single reason why we're here for the inaugural European Open. Someone is going to win that wonderful trophy on Sunday evening. That big Fulda sign, bit of a landmark. It's just the other side of the train station from here. Nice quiet little town. Think of some of the other places we are for big events this year. The Olympic area in London back in May, and then Atlantic City in a couple of months' time. Wonderful places in their own way. Fulda, very different. Quiet town, very relaxed vibe about it. But serious business going on the pool table. And it's 2-all here. Just to recap on a couple of matches we were talking about earlier, looking to keep you up to date on everything going on here. Elliot Sanderson, well-known British player, won 8-4 on the loser's side against Adbala Al-Katan. Skylar Woodward, 8-2 against Harold Stolka. And Tolian Han of that Singapore team that reached the World Cup final, an 8-5 winner over Holger Greece. So these are the players to keep an eye on as they try to make it through on that one-loss side. Chris Melling has already played on this main table today and beat Uwe Kaiser 8-3. Had a golden break right at the start of the match. So they're all in losers round 2. If you get through that round, you need 2 more wins to get to single elimination. Giuseppe Iacobucci of Italy is 1 rack away from advancing. 7-3, he leads Robert Braga.
Key shot coming up now for Sanchez. 3 rails positioned for the red 3. In the right centre pocket, he's overrun it, he's not on it, so can he play safe in behind? I actually thought he could chop that in the middle at first glance, but clearly not. He was right behind it. Oh wow, Michael, look what he's done there. He's not reached a rail. Incredible.
Yeah, and that is a foul, and it means ball in hand. Something you see very rarely at this level.
Yeah, after contact, any ball on the table must hit a rail unless you pot the ball. So if you're tuning in and wondering what's just gone on, that's why. So there you see he potted the ball. Cue ball didn't hit a rail, but because he potted the ball, it's fine. Same here, the cue ball will hit the rail after contact, and he's potted the ball, so he's okay. Sanchez was just trying to roll that ball onto the rail, didn't reach the rail. Ball in hand. Any way you want, 1 shot. Looked a little scrappy so far, Sanchez, in the opening 5 racks. Still early days, but doesn't look like he's fully settled in. You talk about the break rule, Michael, and players who it may affect. Sanchez may be one of them players, you know, because he's such a buzz player. He's a player who really likes to get on a roll, run 3s and 4 packs, relaxes, then it all comes easier. I wouldn't really put him in that bracket of a player who grinds a win out and it's like a dogfight.
And just on that theme as well, I mean, it's not often you see a match at this sort of level where all of the first 5 racks are won by the player who didn't break. And that's what's happened so far here, and that's why, for the 3rd time, Michael Schneider is 1 ahead at 3-2. Let's look at some of the matches coming up later today in winners qualification. We're going to see world champion Shane Van Boning against Yanni Uski. That's one to keep an eye on. Darren Appleton still going strong after all these years. Your old mate Carl, he plays Wojciech Szewczyk. Eklund Kaci against Nick Economopoulos. That is an interesting one as well. The one that stands out for me actually is Alex Kazakis against Tyler Steyer. Kazakis, obviously a well-established player, but he'd love to win a big full field open event like this. And then Steyer, one of those American players who they're hoping is going to make a breakthrough. He looked very good yesterday, actually, on the main table against Marco Dorenberg. So that's one that stands out for me as well.
Yeah, I'm keeping a close eye on the Dennis Grave Moritz Neuhausen match, because Moritz Neuhausen, he practices with Joshua Filler. Very talented young German player, one for the future for sure. So I'm going to keep a little eye on him. But the match coming up next is box office. Filler versus Filler. It's finally happened. It nearly happened at the World 9-Ball Championships. It's coming right up after this match.
Whatever happens, it'll be quite a story to tell the grandchildren one day. Should mention Alban Ocean as well. Obviously someone we're keeping a very close eye on. Hasn't really fired since losing that World Final back in April to SVB, but he played really well in his matches yesterday. He plays Michael Gavenciak of the Czech Republic.
I think the bank shot's on. I think he can squeeze the bank in. He's going to have to get juicy with the cue ball, though. He's got to get the cue ball out of there to get on the purple. This is the example what I alluded to at the start of this match. I didn't mean these two players, but people are just wasting so much time. He's got to play the bank. There's only 2 shots you can play. I mean, he must have been stood there for nearly 2 minutes.
In the end, he's not played the greatest shot in the world, has he? Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, Carl, that the more time you stand looking at a shot, the more opportunity you give yourself to see what can go wrong with it. And then very often, that is what happens.
Yeah, now he's faced with a horrible one. It looks like he's playing this in the top left. He knows if he pots it, the cue ball's guaranteed to be on the 6. Oh, wonderful shot. Wonderful pot there off the rail. Really was.
Yeah, nicely recovered. And just going back to what we were talking about a moment ago, I think that's one of the great things about this game, that you can change things around and bring a bit of variety to it and test players in different ways. The size of the pockets, the breaking rules, as we've talked about, having a shot clock or not having one. And you get to see different challenges being posed to the players at different tournaments.
Yeah, that ball that Michael Schneider's just potted is going to give him so much confidence now. He's about to take a 2-game lead, but just the manner of the way he potted that 5, it went in clean. He was cueing off the rail.
Well, no, but he's been 2 racks clear in this match until now. Michael Schneider now leading 4-2, and it's taken us until rack number 6 to have someone actually win a rack on their own break. Might just have noticed Pia Filler standing next to the table there. That's a position we see her in often over the years, cheering on Joshua. But of course, she'll be out there playing him in maybe around an hour or so from now. Here's what's going on next door. Ratapol Sassman of Thailand looking to end the run of the hometown favourite Torsten Homan. He's leading 3-2 at the moment, this on the loser side. So it's race to 8. He's playing in spectacles, Carl. That's not something you see very often. And they don't even look to be adjusted spectacles either. It must be hard to play with those.
Yeah, they don't look very high, do they? Like, well, we call them Dennis Taylors where I'm from, because he was the one who seemed to pave the way for them type of spectacles or glasses. Schneider to break. Oh, that's a good break. That is the break right there. We know all along, this is day 3, that you're not really sure what type of shot you're going to get. But look at the 1 ball again here, folks. Straight in that side pocket.
Keeping an eye on losers round 3, Tony Drago is really motoring along now against Bora Anar of Switzerland. He's leading 7-4, so just needs 1 more. And Mickey Kraus is playing Patrick Mountain, but it's Kraus who's on the hill, leading 7-1.
You've no shame, you, Michael. Just no shame.
You leave your shame and your dignity at the door when you come to do this gig, Carl. Well, let's be fair, it looks like Patrick Mountain is going out of the tournament, so I won't get a chance to make that joke again this week.
I'm sure you'll conjure up some more, no doubt, you and Phil. This has been a splendid performance so far, it has to be said. Schneider's coming to this match. He knows Sanchez is having the year of his life. He's just come off the back of a Euro Tour win just on Monday, I believe, the final was.
It was, yeah, Monday evening. And saying he beat some excellent players to win it.
Big shot coming up. If you can just take care of this 6 ball. The angle's there to float over for the 7. Now and again you do see players miss this type of shot because they seem to whack it too hard. Just trusting your cueing, play it at a nice pace. Yeah, it was a little bit hard, but it's gone in.
May have just heard a ripple of applause there coming from the other table, the other main table that is, where Torsten Homan has levelled. Once again at 3-all against Ratapol Sassman. And Patrick Mountain is now out. Mickey Kraus has closed that out at 8-1. Well, you called it a couple of racks ago, Carl. You said that Francisco Sanchez Ruiz was looking a bit patchy, or words to that effect, in his performance so far today. And Michael Schneider at the moment is dominating him. 3 racks in a row now and playing so well. And look how keen he is to get on with the next rack. And why not? He leads 5-2. So Chris Melling already through in the loser side, 8-3. He beats Uwe Kaiser of the sizable home contingent. As if you don't know by now, it's the fillers up next. Joshua against Pia. And then that will be followed by the world champion, one of the all-time greats, Shane Van Boning, playing Jani Uski of Finland. There will, of course, be more matches to follow on table 1 later in the day. Ralph Suke on the loser side. 3-0 down now against Jonas Suto Camino. Just while we wait for the next rack to start, this is the situation on table 2. 16-year-old Mika van Berkel winning 8-4 against Hong Kong's Robbie Capito. So Capito is now out. Spoken to you about Homan and Sassman. Alexa Pechelj of Serbia, taking on Switzerland's Ronald Regley. And then Jason Shaw, always great to see him on one of the main tables. He plays Badr Alawadi, dangerous opponent from Kuwait.
Francisco has just took a timeout, using his experience there. He knows Schneider's on a roll, he knows he's free-flowing, he's confident. So he's decided he's going to go out the room for a few minutes and say, Michael, you just sit down for a minute, pal.
I think that's legitimate, though, isn't it? I mean, I think that's seen as just all part of the game, doing little things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's correct. You're allowed to take a time out, and even if he doesn't need the bathroom. I mean, Schneider's a man on a mission at the minute. Sanchez has got to try and change some up and just slow the man down. So he does right. Get out of there. I mean, you can't keep doing it after every rack, of course.
Yeah, I think that would be seen as certainly against the spirit of things. So we're looking again on this match. We're keeping a close eye on table 2. Much closer contest, it has to be said, at the moment. 19 years, can you believe, since Torsten Homan got that breakthrough world title. 2003. Mentioned there that Mickey Kraus is the first player through to the losers qualification round. He could play Mario He if he was to be beaten by Sebastian Bartkowski in winners qualification.
Well, good luck hitting this one ball.
Five-two up and playing very well. FSR's got to find some answers, but nothing he can do about it at the moment.
Another wonderful break there from Schneider. Just look at the cue ball and the one ball. This is not easy to do, let me tell you.
So what's he doing with the break from a technical point of view, Carl, that other players haven't been able to do?
Well, he's found the exact aiming point where you need to hit on the one. So if the one ball was hitting just below the centre, you would be hitting it a little too thin. And if it goes above the centre, you've hit it a little bit too full. But then they're playing it with a little bit of right and spin, and they're hitting it hard. I mean, you can easily get the one ball over towards that direction, but to keep getting it in the pocket, well, they're really dialed in. They've really got the aiming point, and they're hitting the cue ball time and time again where they want.
And I guess once you've figured that out, you practice it over and over again to perfect it.
Yeah, absolutely. The good thing with it is once the match gets close and it's hill-hill, it wouldn't be easy to replicate it then, because your back arm gets a little tighter, and this is why the players want this break rule brought in, because it just adds a different dimension.
There was a great story years ago about Mark Wildman, who was the world billiards champion but also a top snooker player, and he played one year in the Pot Black One Frame tournament, which launched snooker on TV, against Steve Davis, who was the best player in the world at the time. And he thought, if I just really practice my break-off shot over and over and over again, I might have half a chance against Steve. And he got a local schoolboy to come in and just re-rack the balls for him over and over again. Lost the toss, didn't get to play the break-off shot, and I think he only got one shot in the match. Well, it's looking like 6-2 now. And he's just in complete control here. Never mind practicing the break-off. This is just like an all-round practice session in itself. This emerging player from Switzerland. Someone at the other end of the experience scale, Torsten Homan, has now gone 4-3 in front over on table 2 against Ratapol Sassman. Tony Drago has won. He's just beaten Bora Anar in losers round 3 by 8 racks to 5. So he's through to losers qualification. And there he will play either Imran Majid or Mustafa Alnar.
Well, I know Tony's pretty good friends with Imran, so that's going to be an interesting little battle brewing up. But there's an interesting story happening here on centre court. Schneider's got this 9-ball for a 6-2 lead over Sanchez Ruiz.
Just over his shoulder there, you can see both of the fillers. Not sure who that is they're chatting to. Don't know if you recognise who it is.
That is the WPA president, Ian Anderson.
Oh, Ian Anderson, yeah. So 4 in a row for Schneider. Sanchez Ruiz just can't get a look in. It's now 6-2. Let's have a look at some other scores then. Torsten Homan, we're keeping an eye on. 4-3 up on Ratapol Sassman, as I was telling you. Ralph Souquet struggling, 4-0 down now against Jonas Suto Camino. We saw Noel Ben say right at the start of the week on the main table. Couldn't really perform there, but still going on the loser's side. The Frenchman 3-1 up on Pablo Garcia Lagar. Marco Dorenberg, who we saw on the main table yesterday against Tyler Steyer. He's leading 4-2 now against Eric Kohler. So much to keep an eye on, but nowhere more so than table 1, where Michael Schneider is racing away with this one. He leads 6-2.
Yeah, he's generating a lot of power, and what that will mean is he's got more chance of potting a random ball if he misses the one. Didn't miss the one by much though, did he? Just caught that middle jaw, the bottom jaw, so he's still round about where he wants to be, but this is the beauty of it, isn't it? You just always seem to have to come with a decent shot. Now, will he attack the table? Or can he get the cue ball over in behind the purple 5? Maybe he can.
Just to wrap it up, because I was talking about it earlier, Giuseppe Iacobucci of Italy closed it out at 8-4 against Robert Braga in losers round 2. Just a few matches still going in that round.
Not going to be happy with that one. Maybe it was a little bit too adventurous. Maybe what he should have done, he's played a tight little safety. I know hindsight's a wonderful thing, but keep the heat on Sanchez. He throws him out of the match. He could have played a telling little safety shot there.
So the man from Spain finally gets back to the table. It's been such a good year for him. He's got to bring that form right now. So a great recovery from him at the UK Open, of course. He was 6-0 down, and that was on the loser's side against Ashik Nathwani. Came back to win at 9-8. And from 6-0 down, he played 151 racks to see off 11 different opponents, having been sent straight to the loser's side by Jason Theron of South Africa. The last of those opponents was Shane Van Boning, who he beat 11-4 in the semi-finals. That took him into the final, where his odyssey was ended by Joshua Filler, who finished very strongly to win 13-7. But it was an incredible effort to come through all those matches to get to the final. Nevertheless, he won't want to find himself on the loser's side again at the end of this match. It's still a very distinct possibility, but this 9 would improve his prospects.
This is tricky. Oh, it's thin, it's off the rail. But he's made easy work of it in the end.
Yeah, it just took an extra moment or two to steady himself for it. So capitalising on the lapse from Schneider and having lost 4 racks in a row, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz has finally registered on the board again. So Schneider's lead now cut to 6-3. So some of the scores going through. Ashik Nathwani, I was just talking about a moment ago, in action, 2-0 up against Bezar Spahiu. The veteran Vincent Fake played in the Mosconi Cup more than 25 years ago, 3-1 down to Raimo Tisar. Ralph Souquet, we were talking about, trailing 4-0 at the moment against Jonas Suto Camino. Most of those matches on the loser's side, this of course the exception.
That was a good break. 1 ball again. So both of these players now look like they're dialed in with a break, but it's no shot. This is just nice to see. It really is. As a pool player, an ex-pool player, whatever you want to call it, this is just what I love to see. Forget the break and runs consistently. Let's get a few safety shots thrown in there. See what these boys are made of. And girls.
More news on Torsten Holm, and he's certainly finding his gears, isn't he? 6-3 now, he leads Ratapol Sassman, so just 2 more racks now required for the former world champion in his hometown to get through to losers qualification.
Well, decided to play the push out, even though he could see an edge of the two. What has Sanchez got in mind? Well, first of all, Schneider's going to have the option of playing this shot or passing it back. We spotted Summit because he's going to play the shot. Oh, he's teasing us. Is he going to play the shot? This isn't really going to work for Sanchez. Fair enough. It's containing safety, but it's no good, is it? Wondering if he can bank that. Can he bank it in the side? Or is the 7 just in its way a little bit? If it does bank, he'll certainly play the bank. Oh, has he left this? What has he left? He's left some sort of piece of it. And he's having a good look. Could be a funny situation, this, because if Sanchez can't pot it in that middle, maybe he can't hit enough of the left-hand side of it to play the cross bank. Yeah, it looks a little awkward for Sanchez, this. Now he's looking at the kick and behind. Yeah, he couldn't see the left side of the ball. He's done well there, hasn't he? Just to keep himself alive in this rack.
Well, now that he's started a recovery, he needs to keep it going. Really got to dominate the rest of the match. If it's close from here, Schneider will get over the line comfortably. Needs to keep his much less experienced Swiss opponent under pressure as much as he possibly can.
Ideally, when he kicks at this 2, he gets the cue ball to kick and stick. That means the cue ball just stops in its place and the 2 ball comes down table.
Just taking a look at events next door, Torsten Homan looked like he could be closing in on a 7-3 lead over Ratapol Sassman, but he missed the 7. The man from Thailand was out of his chair like a shot and has just played a couple of good shots to leave himself with a routine 9 to keep Homan away from the hill for now. Once this 9 goes in, closes to 6-4.
This is the result of Schneider not kick and stick in that kick shot. Oh, where's the cue ball? Where's the cue ball? Needs an angle. He needs an angle. If he's not got an angle, how'd you get out for the 5? Just a small little angle should be good enough. Well, he's flirted with 2 pockets in the last 2 shots, he really has. So he's fighting hard here, Sanchez. He's not quite at the races yet, but he's grinding away.
Yeah, which isn't perhaps one of his strengths. At times, you feel that it's not the only way he can win a match by getting into his rhythm and flowing, but I can't say I've seen him win a lot of matches by really digging in and making it tough for his opponent when he's not playing all that well himself. But anyway, it's what he's doing at the moment. He lost 4 in a row to trail 6-2. 4 behind at that stage, but that deficit has been cut in half. And Michael Schneider has got FSR charging back at him now, only 2 behind at 6-4.
Yeah, he actually nearly missed a 9-ball as well. That didn't
Yeah.
go clean, he just kind of rushed it, didn't he?
Yeah, wriggled a little. Just a reminder, Joshua Filler and Pia Filler coming up in a little while. And we had our eyes on that as a potential match in this round. And for a while it looked as though it might not happen, but because Joshua Filler was going to lose, he was 4-0 down, 8-4 down against Rafael Val, but turned it around to win 9-8. Pia was already through by then after beating Ramazan Aktag 9-6. And Val, by the way, after that great performance yesterday, is still going. He beat Fabian Breuer 8-3 to get through to losers round 3. So Filler versus Filler coming up shortly. Still some way to go between Sanchez Ruiz and Schneider. And similar situation over on table 2, where it looked as though Torsten Homan was about to get to the hill and lead 7-3 against Ratapol Sassman. Missed the 7, as I was telling you. So now it's the same score as table 1, 6-4 at the moment. Only in this instance, it's in favour of the more experienced man. Should say, if Homan does get through, he's still going to have quite a task to get through to single elimination, because his opponent in losers qualification will be the loser of Mark Bijsterbosch, the very capable Dutchman, and Karel Skaversky, former World Masters winner.
Is the 6-ball going to fall? No, it's not, but he's not left a shot.
Talked about this battle that Sanchez Ruiz is in this week with Joshua Filler to claim the first guaranteed spot on the Mosconi Cup team. Even if he doesn't get it, he's still going to be in very good shape to get in at some point later in the year and make that breakthrough, get into the team for Las Vegas. Now, David Al-Qaedi has a lot of work to do to make the team himself. He's a good bit down outside the automatic places at the moment, but he could turn it round, and even if he doesn't get one of them, he may well get a captain's pick. You have to think, if they're both in the team, Carl, the way they gelled at the World Cup, that's a dream doubles pairing for Las Vegas right there.
Yeah, it's a good pairing. It's just, you just never quite know how a rookie is going to perform in the Mosconi, you know. Regardless of what you've done on the pool table all year round, if you've never played in that Mosconi Cup and felt the energy of the crowd, it's just such a surreal feeling, and it's certainly going to be an interesting one this year.
And of course, with him being so close to Al-Qaedi, if they were playing together in doubles, which you have to think would probably happen if they both made the team, that would surely help him settle into it.
Yeah, without a doubt. If you could pick one player to play his doubles match with in that format, it would be Al-Qaedi. So the good thing is we're going to see how all this is going to pan out, because we're at that time of the season now. It's coming to the stage where we're going to find out who's in and who's more in the running. Needs his 2-ball to keep going.
It's so competitive now, the European side. There are very few players you'd look at and say, well, he's definitely going to be on the team. I think Joshua Filler is one of them. Sanchez Ruiz, maybe, because he's got so many points. But I thought it would still be a bit of a surprise. You wouldn't say Jason Shaw is absolutely guaranteed to be in there. I mean, obviously he's got great pedigree in the competition, but needs to get better results to prove his worth.
Yeah, I think it's always tricky, really, to pick the European team. I know it's a little bit different for USA. You can kind of pretty much guarantee who's going to be in their team, or there's only really ever a select few in the running, but Europe has a lot of players. But you'd be a brave man to pick, if you was captain, you'd be very brave to pick somebody that's not got vast of experience for your wild cards, wouldn't you? That's all I would say about that. So even if Jason Shaw doesn't end up having, you know, the greatest of seasons in the sense of being near the top of the leaderboard for automatic selection, who do you pick in front of him?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? When you consider how well he's performed in the Mosconi over the last couple of years. He just needs to show a few glimpses over the next few months that the form is in there. And I think that would be enough to get him a pick. Ralph Souquet has managed to register. And in fact, just as I say that, he's pulled another one back. Still got a lot of work to do, though, on the loser side. 5-2 down against Jonas Suto Camino.
Well, it's a quick rack. Schneider takes it. And he now opens up to a 3-gap lead again in this very highly anticipated match. Performed very well indeed so far. Can he close it out?
Well, that was crucial, wasn't it, with Sanchez Ruiz coming back at him. Won a couple in a row. It's just that challenge of getting over the line. It's always fascinating to see how players cope with it. Guys who have not seen out here getting big wins against big players. And that challenge is still to come for Schneider. Joshua and Pia, the two fillers, they'll be up quite shortly now. And Shane Van Boning, the world champion, taking on Finland's Jani Uski. There will be more matches added on table one as the day goes on. And what they're all playing for is to be in that 64-player single elimination stage, and we will be down to that 64 by tonight. And then it's 3 days of straight knockout action to decide the inaugural European Open champion.
That's the danger of this break. The cue ball's often flying across the centre of the table. Now and again you're going to find a side pocket. Horrible when you do that, when you break and you see it disappear. And just look at the split of the balls. This is going to be a fast rack. All the balls are sat there, nice in the open.
Such a challenge facing him now. He's basically got to win 5 of the next 6 racks here. Ratapol Sassman still hanging on very well against Torsten Homan. He's won the 11th rack to close to 6-5 down. Homan dreaming of hometown glory. But his hopes in danger of coming to an end there. Remember, that's just race to 8.
Yeah, 6-5 over there, and he missed that 7 ball to get on the hill, so he's caused himself a few problems over there with Torsten Homan.
Okay, so Sanchez Ruiz has done what he needed to do here. He's taken these with relish. And that's now 3 of the last 4 racks he's won. He's still 2 behind at 7-5. I would suggest that was perhaps the quickest rack of the match so far. Vincent Fake, the only Frenchman ever to play in the Mosconi Cup, level at 3-all with Raimo Tisar of the sizable Estonian contingent. Playing for a place in the losers' qualification round. As are these guys.
Of course, this match, Thorsten's match on table 2, is a race to 8. That's because it's in the left side of the draw, the loser's side. This is winner's side, so this is a race to 9.
We should say once it gets to losers' qualification, it goes back up to race to 9.
Well, this looks a useful break, doesn't it? He's got a shot on the lowest ball.
Have you noticed anything different about his game this year, Carl? I mean, we know he's been around for a while as a very good player, but sort of bubbling under that top level. He's taken such a big stride forward with a consistent series of good results and good performances in tournaments over the last year or so, but has there been anything different in his game, you feel?
Well, I know when I sort of first come on the scene, maybe 2 or 3 years after, I played him a few times and he used to have a habit of getting very nervous and not finishing the match off, so I think that's what he's done. I think he's learnt to close matches out because he had this sense of air about him where if you just knew you kept it close, or let's say the first half of the match didn't go your way because that's just pool, you always felt like, well, don't throw in the towel, just try and get back level or close, because you always felt like you could see a mistake come.
Yeah, such a nice guy. Maybe he's just added a bit of that killer instinct on the table.
Just a little
but he
bit
hasn't
like
killed
that,
that
Michael.
one. Yeah. We should never talk players up that we like, because then they just go and do something like that.
Yeah, it weren't really that shot. That was the bad one. It was a positional shot from the previous shot. He just overrun it. And that's what's caused that tricky little pot. What a chance for Schneider now. 8-5. He's a healthy lead. This is a good shot. He had a small gap there. Thorsten Oman's got himself on the hill over on table 2.
Yeah, I was keeping an eye on him there. He looks so focused and so determined, and with that actually quite nervous, even for a player of so much experience. He's just desperate to achieve something here in his hometown, wants to keep it going as long as he possibly can.
Yeah, he definitely wants his name in the hat for the draw, doesn't he? He doesn't want to, you know, go out at this stage. That would be such a big disappointment. You know, you've got to look at it like, if you don't make the final 64, it's as good as you've lost in the first round, really. I look at this event like 3 stages. You've got 256 players, #1 goal, get in the draw for the last 64. Then if you get there, you've got to get to the last 16. You want to win 2 more matches to get through to that TV stage. That's where the lights, the glamour comes, and that's what these players will be aiming for.
Yeah, and it also feels special being involved when there are only 16 left. Most of the players have gone home or gone to spend the weekend in the bar, and you're still playing. And the way this man is performing, he might just be among them. Because Michael Schneider is on the hill. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz had a good chance there to get back to only one behind, but once he'd handed the initiative back to Schneider, the man from Switzerland took full advantage. And he's closing in on a famous win here. He leads 8-5. Ratapol Sassman is in play, over on table 2. 7-5 down to Torsten Homan, who needs one more to go through to losers qualification. The thing you would say about this match, Sanchez Ruiz has got to win 4 in a row now. He doesn't look like he's in the sort of form to do that. And Schneider, to be fair, doesn't look like the sort of player who's going to slip up here. He looks pretty comfortable with the situation he's in. What do you think?
Yeah, the opening 13 racks, if you was to say who's going to go on and win this match, completely agree. Schneider just looks like he's been too solid. He looks up for it. He doesn't look like he's going to falter. 8-5 though, it's a funny little score line that, because something happens in this next one and then Francisco can break and run. He's 8-7, you know, 8-5, you feel like you're miles away, but you're actually not. This is table 2 if you are watching this on the Matchroom Pool YouTube channel. Of course, here on the Facebook page we keep flicking back and forward as well. Unfortunately, there's no commentary on the YouTube channel, but we will try and keep flicking across as often as we can, keep you updated. This is a big moment now for Ratapol. Just these 4 balls. Let's not forget, this is a race to 8, so Thorsten is on the hill.
So, a sense of inevitability now about him pulling one back here. Homan, you know, has had the chances to have put this one away by now. He may yet come to regret that he didn't take them, because Sassman is only one behind at 7-6.
I think Schneider's took a little time out, Michael. That's what we're waiting for.
Well, hardly surprising, is it? Needs to go away, maybe compose himself. He knows this is a huge rack coming up for him. Here in the town of Fulda, Torsten Homan, as we've said, is from here. He's actually based in the United States now. I think he's recently moved to New York. Not quite the Hollywood sign, but that is something of a landmark in the town here. Population, I think it's around 70,000. I believe Pope John Paul II was here back in the 1980s. Ralph Souquet, still 5-2 down to Jonas Suto Camino. That's in losers round 3. It's one of those lovely towns where we've got so many old buildings, and obviously you've got a lot of new ones as well, but they all sit nicely side by side. And the town has retained its character over the years. I think the players are loving the venue, so we may well be back here next year.
Well, I'm loving the venue. I think it's a fantastic place to come.
Michael Schneider is really enjoying his experience here at the moment. Only one rack needed.
Yeah, if you are a fan of 9-ball pool as well, these, you know, the way these multi-table events are set up, they're fantastic. Have you managed to walk around the venue, Michael? I've had a good nosy when I've not been in comms. I've got myself down there on the floor. Have you?
Yeah, I've been down, had a bit of a look around. The trouble is when you're there, it's just so much going on. It's almost impossible to take it all in, but great experience to see wonderful players from all over the world, all at the same time. Now, how has this finished for him?
Not great, but He's been breaking as good as I've seen on this table. He really has. He's no shot on the 3 ball though. Decision time, isn't it?
What are his options?
Well, the simple thing is he can't push over to the right-hand side of the table because you're going to leave a pot, so he can only really roll to there. So now Sanchez, he can play the bank, but the cue ball's going a little bit weird, so he's not going to be on the 4 ball. Maybe he could play a soft safety, banking it halfway up the table. Tricky spot. It's a beauty with the push out though. Often some people think, I've not heard it said a lot, but now and again people think take the push out away from the game, but I mean, I think that's just a ludicrous thing to do.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think it's one of the eternal fascinations, and I think it's something you can never quite conquer, the psychology of it. You know, you can never master what's the right thing to do in push out situations.
So this is what he's tried. He's just tried to play it up onto this rail. Maybe try to go a little higher. Let's say past the middle. But at least he's not, you know, at least Sanchez has got to come with something big here. I'm not saying he's going to go for the pot because that is very hard, but he could bounce this up towards the top rail and use the pink or the green as a blocker. That's what he's trying. That's okay. 2 rail kick coming up here. He's going to go off the side rail, top rail, come back on this 3 ball. 3 ball may go near the top left corner, but the whole purpose of this is to create distance. Big kick shot coming up. As he fluked it in the side, it's close. He has fluked it in the side.
What a moment. What a moment. On the brink of a landmark win, and that happens for him. And now he's got a real chance to get this done.
Just going back to the actual kick shot, though, even though he fluked it, he was actually very close to pulling it off. It's one of them types of shots where we know what he's trying to play, but if you don't quite hit it thin enough, well, that's what happens. But he's still not out of the woodwork yet. I mean, he can pot this ball, but how do you get back up for the 5? Looks like the 6 ball is in the way.
Yep, it's going to take a good shot. But if he pulls it off, it's pretty straightforward from there. Massive moment for him. And just very quickly to tell you, big moments over on the other table, because Ratapol Sassman looks as though he's completed his recovery to draw level with Torsten Homan at 7-all. So that's going to a hill finish. Now, how's this turned out? Can he get through to the 5 to pot it?
I would say he can. He's actually played a beautiful shot there. He's given himself the best chance possible.
And you know, if he does win, Carl, we'll look back at that section right in the middle of the match. It was level, it was 2-all, neither of them quite in top form. And then Schneider went on that run where he was breaking well, he was winning racks comfortably and comprehensively. And if he is to win, that spell in the middle of the match is going to be the difference.
Yeah, and I think it's a bigger match for Michael Schneider than Sanchez. Just at this moment, I mean, I've been very impressed with Schneider's game, it has to be said. Very impressed indeed. But just at the last minute, as he faltered, that was a chance for the match.
We've got to stop bigging these players up every time we say something good about how good they are or how well they're playing. Something like that happens. And for all the world now, it looks like it's going 8-6. And Schneider will face the challenge of putting that out of his head. He'd done the hard part, it seemed, in the previous shot. But FSR is clinging on. He's still in there. He knew he needed to win the last 4 racks. Well, he's got one of them now. It was rather handed to him in the end. He's taken full advantage. Schneider 8, FSR 6.
Yeah, just the bottom right and section of your TV screens. Torsten Homan, he's at the table. That match is Hill-Hill. It's in the loser's side of the draw. The loser of that match is out of the tournament. This is what he's faced with. It was a dry break from Ratapol. This is not easy, Michael. He's got to pot this one and try and get on the 2. Good luck with that. Torsten Homan was influential in bringing the European Open here to Fulda. It's his hometown. He's desperate to keep going in this event. Big rack over there. Back to the action. Schneider had a chance for the match. He didn't take it. Is he going to get punished? Well, look at this, Michael. Look at this. Sanchez is going to have a shot on the 1. And this is what we spoke about a few racks ago. 8-5, if you make a mistake and then your opponent breaks some runs, it's 8-7. It's actually not a big... It's actually not as big as lead as you think. Sometimes you only get one chance to close the match out.
Well, it does say 8-8 on the graphic there. It isn't quite that yet. It's 8-6. And you love to talk about the pool gods, Carl. It seems Michael Schneider has angered them with that miss. Oh, you can see it in his face, can't you? He's already regretting it, but he's got to put it out of his head.
This is the same in any sport, isn't it? You know, you can look at darts, you can look at snooker. Someone misses a double on the dartboard, the very next leg, they go 180, don't they? You just always get punished, and this is what we like to see. Schneider's going to have to come with something big now, because you feel like Sanchez, he's going to take this match to 8-7.
We saw one of the form players of 2022 pull off a big recovery yesterday when Joshua Filler won his match from 8-4 down. And the other big form European player of this year, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, is making great strides here towards a huge recovery of his own. Had to win the last 4 racks. And with a break and run here, he's got himself to the halfway mark in that task. Only one behind now at 8-7. Schneider is going to be feeling the heat so much, but will he get to the table to do anything about it?
Well, over on table 2, Ratapol is at the table. Torsten didn't get on the 2 ball, and he just needs 7 balls, and they're all over the... I wouldn't say they're over the pocket, but they're all there, all in open space. There you can see this is what he's faced with. This is to knock out Torsten Homan.
And the man who sent Torsten Homan over to the one-loss side, Senerip Azar, has just started his match in winners' qualification against Babkan Melkonyan of Romania. Also just starting, Abdullah Al-Yusuf of Kuwait against Germany's, well, it's listed as Germany, Roman Hibbler, but not sure that is who he represents. But anyway, that match is just starting as well.
Czech Republic.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Got the German flag next to his name. Anyway, either way, they're starting their matches. This one is coming towards a climax.
Not the best of breaks for Sanchez. Hitting way too thin. Is the 6 ball come to help him? Watch the cue ball. See how it goes a little bit low on the side rail. The players are trying to take the cue ball parallel. Ratapol makes a mistake over on table 2. Doesn't get on the 6 ball. Schneider's obviously not on the potting angle of this. Well, even if he is, doesn't have a lot of angle, does he, to get back down for the 2. So we'll see what he comes up with in a moment.
Well, there's so much going on here. We can't show you every single table all at once, but we certainly can show you both of the two main tables, and big drama, crucial moments on both of them.
Oh, where's the 6? Where's the 6 gonna go? It stayed over the pocket.
Oh, if that drops, he probably wins the match. But now, what's he left, Homan?
Well, I think he's gonna have to go rail first. I think he's gonna have to hit the left side rail and flick the 6 ball in. If he does hit that contact pretty good, cue ball may be tracking towards the 8, so he's not out of the woodwork yet. Sanchez is back at the table here. Schneider played here. He's played a poor safety.
Yeah, he has. And it was a shot which gave the look of someone who's really feeling it now. Sometimes you can have too big a lead in a sense. Okay, given the choice, you'd always want to be 8-5 in front, but from there, you really feel you should finish it out, especially with these breaking rules making it so much harder to stage a big comeback. And that pressure brings its own problems.
Yeah, and Schneider's had his chance to win this match. Forston, can he kick this in and get on the 7? Rail first. Cue ball needs to slow down a little bit. It's actually not going to be too bad. It's okay. He's got a thin cut.
I'll tell you what isn't okay is the shot FSR's just played on the 1, back on table 1. Schneider back on his feet much sooner than he would have anticipated.
This is slightly concerning because in my experience, pool players are not very good with the bridge. Can Thornton cut this ball in? He can. He needs the cue ball to bounce. I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. It looks as though he's going to come through here. Back on table 1. Schneider still on the hill. And job looks to be done for Homan. He's made hard work of it, you know. He had the chances to put this away several racks ago. But he's got there in the end. And he's through to the loser's qualification round, where he will play the loser of Mark Bijsterbosch and Karol Skaversky. That will probably be an even bigger challenge. And the man from Thailand is going to be sick because he had his chances as well in the closing stages. But Ratapol Sassman bows out. Homan battles on in his hometown. Back here, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz looking for a way to level this match. What's he facing here, Carl?
Well, he's going to have to be playing safe here. I mean, the 1 ball does bank in the corner, but it's very thin, so looks like the cue ball would be travelling a little too fast to try and hold for the 2. So I believe just a simple safety. Oh, he needs the cue ball to keep going. And I think he's okay. He was trying to keep that 1 ball in line with the 9 and the purple 5, and when that just squirted out, it would have been a little bit concerned, but he has got the hook. He's going to stick this up. He's going to stick this up. This is a chance for Sanchez to get on the hill.
A lot of matches starting now in winners' qualification. Another one just getting underway. Konrad Jesushin of Poland against Loho Sum. He's made such a name for himself this year across a couple of events, most notably the World Masters.
That's okay. The main thing on that shot was just make sure you leave an angle. Well, he didn't strike that convincing at all, did he? It went in a little bit fat. He was trying to come out into the centre of the table. So now he's got work to do here. He's going to have to draw this just below the green 6, off that side rail and back out. Now this looks a little short of pace as well, and this is what happens when you start running out of position. You end up chasing and he's out of line again. He's going to need another good pot. Cue ball's going to slide off the 9, come over to the left and back out, so you feel like if he pots the ball he should be okay, but this is awkward. Well, he'll be delighted with that. He will be delighted where that's ended up.
Well, it's not been plain sailing this rack by any means, but the hard part looks to be done now. We saw such a great recovery from him at the UK Open in London back in May against Ashik Nathwani. He kicked on from there all the way to the final. If he can win this, it could have a similar galvanising effect on the prospect of Sanchez Ruiz in the European Open. He was 8-5 down. He's now come all the way back to 8-all. It's been one of the most thrilling and absorbing matches of the championship so far, and it's going the full distance. And just before we see this deciding rack, time to update you on a few things going on losers round 3. Ralph Souquet on the brink of bowing out of this tournament now. 7-2 down against Jonas Suto Camino. Not sure we gave you the final outcome of Marco Dorenberg's match. We saw him on the main table yesterday against Tyler Steyer. Well, he's beaten Eric Kohler 8-3 and is through to losers qualification round. Torsten Homan we saw going through, Tony Drago and Mickey Kraus winning earlier today. So they're the only players so far through to losers qualification. Jani Sikkanen of Finland on the brink of joining them. He's on the hill against Hector Ivan Luna Iglesias at 7-4, and Cedric Gonzalez representing Australia 7-5 up against Richard Halliday of South Africa. Jonas Suto Camino and Moritz Lyons both on the hill as well in their matches. Both players on the hill here. It's 8-all.
Oh, can he see the potting angle? I don't believe he can. So he's going to be playing safe or a push, so good news for Schneider. It's not going to be a break and run in the decider. At least he'll get to play a part in this last rack. That's always nice to see.
What do you make of that, Carl?
Not too sure. Maybe Sanchez was just going to bank the one just up around the centre and get the cue ball on top rail. Trying to use the 2 ball, knowing that the red 3 and the 8 ball would block the pot. It's a little bit dangerous though. Hitting it full off the 2 rails doesn't look like something good can come from that either. Well, he likes it. He likes something. Surely he's not trying to stun him behind the 2. Well, he was. He's lost the plot here. He's absolutely lost the plot. That was never the shot. To jack up from that distance and try and kill the cue ball behind the 2, you've just no chance. And now he's given Sanchez the opportunity. He's going to need a good shot from the 2 to the 3. Even this opening shot is not out the woodwork yet. Has the moment got to him? It's not all doom and gloom though, because this is still winners bracket, so he would go over to the losers side of the draw.
For sure, he wouldn't be out of the tournament, but he'd still be sick, you know, when you're a young player trying to make your name in the game. You've got a chance to beat one of the best in the business at the moment, and you know you've had your chances to finish off the job. It's going to be very hard to get over. But even this match isn't gone for him yet. As you say, Sanchez Ruiz has to come with a couple of good shots here. A couple more matches in winners' qualification round have started. Albin Ocean, who so nearly became world champion for the 3rd time earlier this year, against Michael Gavenciak. And Ronald Regley, part of the Switzerland team, which beat 2 seeded teams to get to the quarterfinals of the World Cup, just starting out against Alexa Pejcelj of Serbia.
Yeah, I think because there's been a lot of pool tournaments, and we know how good Joshua Filler season's been and FSR's season, you kind of forget about Albin. You know, he won the Premier League. I mean, he nearly defended his world title, getting to the final again. That's a fantastic achievement. So he's been playing okay. He's been there and thereabouts.
And he played very well yesterday in his 2 matches. Back here, Sanchez Ruiz has come through those 2 testing shots, and it's all there for him now.
Yeah, a little bit of experience. I think a lot of the top players would have put Sanchez back there. It wasn't an easy situation he was in, and I mean, frankly, what Schneider was attempting was just simply ludicrous.
And that's the thing, isn't it? If he just hadn't had a chance, or he'd missed a testing pot, okay, he could live with that. But the fact that, as you said, his brain seemed to shut down on him a little at a key moment. But he's shown enough in this match, particularly in that wonderful section in the middle of it when he was playing so well, to suggest there'll be many more good days for him.
Well, he's found his B game as Sanchez. He's not been quite on it, but he's stuck to the task in hand. He stayed patient. He's been resilient, and somehow he's found a way to win this match.
The first 3 days of this European Open are a big almighty scrap to get through to the single elimination stage. And Francisco Sanchez Ruiz is the first player to get there. He did it the hard way. He was 8-5 down and struggling, but to be fair,